All right, it looks like we got just about everybody back here. We'd like to thank you for coming back to the second half of the Samurai Spotlight Show. Just a quick news update. The loud noise you heard in the back room is completely unexplained. And it's funny that it happened during Ephemely's set while she was talking about being a bad Jew. So if that kind of riled up something from the other side, I'm sure this fellow will do even better. So please welcome Mr. David Nesbitt.
Next time we're going for demons, come on.
Oh yeah, we're bringing a pain on that one.
Get that tomorrow.
For those of you who follow the Cthulhu with us, this could be entertaining. If I suddenly start falling into speaking in tongues and doing anything along those lines, well, it's Monday. What can I say? I have to do something really quick. I'm hoping that our internet connection is still working because there's somebody I want to speak to because I know she's watching because she sent me updates on Ephemely's set and I thought that was kind of cool. Hi, Megan. For those of you who don't know who I'm talking about N2, Megan McGuire, who is a member of the Samurai, and arguably like one of the nicest people, coolest people, most talented people I know. The third one is pretty much self-evident. The nicest and coolest is also self-evident for those of you who know our story. That is, we share a house, have done so for 2 years, and I have yet to be woken up with a solid beating yet. And which leads me
There's always tomorrow.
There's always tomorrow. When she comes back from Manhattan, she may lay me out. I don't know.
Have you been put to sleep with a beating though?
Not yet, although there have been a few times I've gotten mysteriously really sleepy after like a whiskey or something. I insist on pouring my own drinks, but somehow they always seem to come back a little bit fuller than I thought. But I have a special request, and that is, you're in Manhattan. I need you to do something for me. I promise I'll cover the legal bills somehow. You're in Manhattan, which is, among other things, the home of Fox News. You know where this is going. Good. If you could find Roger Ailes and smack that big, ugly, fat fucker across the back of his head and tell him Dave Nesbitt says hi. I really appreciate it. I don't think it'll happen. You're far too nice of a person to do that sort of thing. Well, but maybe on my request you might. I would do it myself, but I'm here and you're in Manhattan and I'm a little jealous. So with that in mind, I have something I have mentioned before, and I have to tell you about my waking up in the day routine. And that is, I wake up, I get woken up by my cat. He comes in at about 8 something in the morning, and he basically informs me, I have not been fed yet. And by walking up, he'll speak for a little bit, and then after a while he still has his front claws, so he goes, I have this, and you have this, and he'll grab my butt and wake my ass up. So I will feed the cat, I will get the coffee, I will walk downstairs, and here's where I always commit my critical error, and that is I go over to the computer, and on my Google homepage, I have like about 5 different newspapers. I've got the Manchester Guardian, I've got the New York Times, I've got the Washington Post, I've got the Economist from London. If you ever want to know what's going on in the world, you can pretty much read those 4, you got it. And then I get through all of those, and then I get to the last one, and then something very odd happens. I go from being the person that you know, the nice, sweet, pleasant. I just know I can feed that line and it's gonna work. Yeah. And this is why you see me the way that I am most of the time, because I get to the last one and I do actually have it on my Google feed, and that is Fox News. And that's when something really interesting happens at about 8:30 in the morning. I think Megan actually uses this as a wake-up thing because she can hear me upstairs. Yeah, not even regurgitating. What basically happens is I turn to the singer of a death metal band. By the way, I'm grateful that that family over there left. I had a few things I wanted to say to that small child. Like, don't do any of this shit at you. And for God's sakes, whatever it is I say in this story, don't do that. And it's gotten to the point now, I've been doing this ritual now for about 8 years. Every morning, somehow I just kind of fall into it. The cat is like, and it's cool because I have my cat Samson. He and I have known each other now for about 9 years. He's used to it. We have another cat who's a recent adoptee of the house. His name is Augustus. He's the cutest thing on earth. He is like a very, very hairy cat with more hair on top of him. And with crossed eyes and everything. He's just like this wonderful cat. And he grew up in a house full of small children, so he's very nervous all the time. I am not helping. Because he will come down there like, hi, I really like you. You're a cool human, and why are you changing colors? Why are you turning red? You're suddenly turning purple. Oh shit, you're gonna do that thing again. And Samson's gonna go, oh yeah, this is gonna be cool. Watch, this is awesome. Die! Yeah. And then I start my day.
Your fantasy day.
Yeah, pretty much. Because, like I said, the stuff that you didn't feel like talking about, yeah, that's me. But I tend to think I come by this fairly honestly. I should tell you a little bit about my genealogy for those of you who are not aware. I am double Irish, but I am a mixed breed in that sense. I am Irish Protestant on one side and Irish Catholic on the other. I would like to point out that anger is not so much something that I feel as much as it is a birthright. Those of you who follow my Facebook feed have kind of gotten that. Because I'll sit there and the latest one for me, and for quite a few of you, I should just start with the basics here, and that is we live in a country and in a society where we are gifted with something really cool, and that is a language that is remarkably dynamic. We add words and we subtract words on a regular basis, and we're constantly shifting things around, and the language is, not the same as it was in 1905. It was barely what it was in 1981, and it's always shifting.
Radical.
Dude, no, that one is always good. That's a constant. From about 1954 on, when North Shore surfing culture started, that's never going away. Gnarly, dude. But we add and we subtract words, and we add and subtract concepts all the time, because English is a wonderfully dynamic language. With this in mind, why does anybody in their right fucking mind try to add a term like legitimate rape to the English fucking language?
Because they're idiots.
Yes. Well, yeah. But you see, I know people who are Republicans or recovering Republicans or this or that or anything else. And I know people there that are completely sensical. But there is this very strange thing that seems to be going on in our society, and that is that people with ideas and concepts are being represented by the loudest and dumbest people on earth. And for this, I have a fair amount of sympathy for people from the Deep South. They don't ask the professor from Auburn University about what happened when the tornado hit the trailer park. No, they instead find the person with half a tooth, an ear missing, and, my daddy says I'm the best kisser in the county t-shirt. That person they ask. Which leads me to Bill O'Reilly. Thank you. I have to point out my personal dislike and also the energizing element that Bill O'Reilly is in my life. He is, in a very unique way, the wind beneath my wings.
No, he's the fart beneath your kilt.
That too. I was wondering why I couldn't do that. Where did that come from? I can blame him for years. It will no longer be a fart, it will be an O'Reilly. Thank you so much, Tom.
I will drink to that greatly.
Yes, we might all get pissed on that one.
Yeah. So much wind.
Yes. Because one of the things I really don't like in society in general is the basic idea of cultural stereotypes. We can talk about Jews or we can talk about any ethnic group, and there's a stereotype with them, asking what kind of car your dad drives or how much money he makes or...
Porsche, bitch.
Yeah, your man's got taste, what can I say? But there's a great Irish stereotype, an ongoing one. I shouldn't call it great. I've been living it for decades, but what the hell are you going to do? And that stereotype is the loudmouth Mick with an opinion he can't back up with anything close to facts. I've been trying really hard to get rid of that one. When I go out on Facebook and I see something really crazy, I go and I look it up. So that way if somebody says, that's bullshit, I can say, no, see right here, it says in the Washington Post, this happened. And then there's Bill O'Reilly. I'm sending him a letter that says, could you please turn in your last name? Just change it to Smith, Harris, something English. I don't care. Let me change the stereotype name that you have now so that way I can go pick on some English people because I fucking love doing that. St. Patrick's Day, if you happen to have an English last name, watch the fuck out. Just saying. It's reflexive.
Irish is so.
Damn right. I've been kind of feeling my Irish of late. But there's a reason for that.
I've been feeling your Irish too.
And I enjoy it so much.
It's okay to do that. Everybody does that. Just do it in private.
Yeah, I'm not going to feel my Irish on stage. Okay, I might do it on stage for the right contribution to the right charity. We'll discuss that in another show.
My interest is
Yeah. So, there we are. Yeah, how would we do that for a second? We do fundraisers. Scott might have a heart attack. I like Scott, but it would be kind of funny if you wanted to do what? For those of you who don't know, we attend the same church. The minister's name is Scott McNeil. He's a great guy, but I can work him up with nobody's business. We'll get to that one later, too, as a fundraiser. Anyway. My Irish has been getting up because, as they say, my passion has been getting up. We have been laughing about the fact that I am the classic person in the midst of a midlife crisis. I am like one sports car or one, motorcycle away, and I am saving for that fucking motorcycle from being the classic midlife crisis guy. She's sitting there going Harley Davidson, I'm saying Triumph, but you do what you do. I realized my midlife crisis was coming on for a number of reasons. First of all, I had this strange thing that's been going on in my life where real life writes the material called How I Became a Dirty Old Man. Let's just phrase it to you this way. There's nothing quite like the idea that you're dating a girl slightly less than half your age that makes you so grateful to be 43 going on 44. The legal consequences alone. And there's a whole long story to that. I will get to that at some point in time after all the details have been cleared. But it does involve a photo shoot where at one point in time I had to say, stop it, you're making me feel like a dirty old man. And she said, yeah, that's kind of the point. And I was like, okay, that's just turning out far more interesting than I thought it would. And then the other thing is that I teach at, I shouldn't say teach, I assist at, I'm trying to work my way up to teaching at, Bob Moss, if you're watching, we'll talk. At Metro Community College, I assist people in the Video Audio Communication Arts program. And it's awesome because you get to work with people and they're like, I've got this project idea and I really want to make this happen. And I'm like, I have the skills to help you make this happen. Let me teach you how it works. And it's like the most, I spend like Fridays and Saturdays and some Sundays doing this and they pay me for it and it's awesome. I enjoy that part. The midlife crisis part comes in the other students at the fucking school, and allow me to explain a moment. I keep getting hit in the face with the way that we as a society, Frank Zappa basically called it the exaltation of ignorance, where we as a society basically are going around doing our level best to convince people that the best way to be the popular guy, the best way to be the person that chicks are going to dig, the best way to be the guy that will eventually get all the money is to act like an ignorant fucking moron. And you see it all the time. You see it on I stopped watching sitcoms a long time ago specifically because of this. Because you know how this goes. First of all, you get a stand-up comedian, his character is an idiot. You cast him with a wife that is disproportionately hot to him. She has a brain. I don't mind having showing women with brains on TV. For Christ's sake, God knows we could use them. And apparently Fox News seems to have an IQ test where you have to fail X amount if you're a woman to get onto that fucking channel.
No, that's just the only women that are applying.
Oh, yeah, that too. I'm trying to imagine any woman with some kind of concept of like self-respect that would apply for that channel. I may see this again later during the lawsuit, so none of you heard that.
For what?
Right? Yeah. But there is that notion that somehow we keep insisting that people, be isolated, that they be moronic, that they act as though nothing out there should be anything more important than a fucking sports broadcast or your TV show or whatever. And so I had this moment, and some of you have heard this and some of you have not, and it was that moment where my hand, years of built-up anger and just complete tension in my body for a number of things express themselves in certain ways. And one of them is the fact that when somebody says something that I think is so stupid, I have to restrain this hand because I want to smack them so hard that when your head stops moving, they will look down and they will see their ass. And the one, but see, after the second or third time, then you're a habitual offender. They take that shit seriously. For me, it was the moment when some kid came walking out of a history class, and apparently he had not done very well. And he had basically came out and said, all I heard him say was, "Why should I give a fuck who Jonas Salk is?" Now, yeah, Jonas Salk, for those of you who are not familiar, gave us the polio vaccine. And so, for those of you who are not familiar, up until the 1960s, early 70s, polio was a horrible thing. It was all over the place. It killed hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people a year. And those that it did not kill, it crippled. How wonderful! And he basically spent a lot of time and a lot of energy, and he got these people together, and he came up with this vaccine, and he was able to, just spread it around the world, and then he gave the fucking thing away. Did not take a dime, he didn't take a penny in royalties from that, and then held on to the patent for it, so nobody else could either, because it was too fucking important. It is way too important that you not get polio, or you not get polio, or whatever, that I cannot receive a penny for this, because if that penny means that this person doesn't get it, then that means that person could die. And we need a little bit more of that in our society. And I'm going to pick on Alan for a second, because I remember we were talking on Thursday. Because he's here, and he referenced something, and I kind of need it as a reference point. Alan did a great piece on Thursday about why it is that we suck. And, Alan's a brilliant writer, and there are times when I agree with him, and I find myself trying very, very hard not to fall into the "we suck" thing. I am, like I said, dual Irish. I get angry and depressed at the drop of a fucking hat. And if there's no hat available, I'll just knock somebody's head off if I have to. And so I spend my time doing my level best to find the best parts of who it is and the best things that we do. And if I can't find them, then goddammit, I will make them happen. And that's where I have this kind of thing, and I want to share it with you people out there. And it's partly comedy, it might be funny, it might not, I don't know, but work with me on it and we'll see what happens. This is the first time I'm kind of throwing it out there. Because I helped organize the Samurai spoken word shows. I helped to put on art, fashion, and film shows. Excuse me for a moment. You didn't really need to hear that on the microphone. I help other people put their film shoots together. I am doing my own film shoots. I help people with their own projects. And people constantly ask me, A, where do you find the time to do all this stuff? When do you sleep? Because as people who know me will tell you, I have the most insane schedule you could possibly imagine. And I say, I do it because I have to do it. Passion is an important thing in your life. Whether it's passion for the person you're having sex with, whether it's passion for the thing that you do, whether it is passion for this idea that you have to bring to fruition, God damn it, there are entirely too many people in this world who don't have it. And what you have to do, if I may, and to invite you into this little crew, is find it in yourself. You may not share the same passion that I do. You may not share the same passion that I have, but we have a love of doing something. And I lucked out. I found somebody who shared a passion for doing stuff. And you have these amazing partnerships that happen. It's not heading where you think it is. My dear friend, who sadly is not here today, she is the other person who puts all this shit together, and I should credit her as much as possible, and that is Ann Myers. Those of you who don't know her should get to know her, because she's one of the most energetic, focused people. I keep saying that if you want to invade Europe, call Ann. Because it will come in under budget ahead of time, and by the time you've arrived there with all the troops, she'll have done it for you. She's just one of those people that takes a person with me that has all these crazy, creative ideas and then says, okay, first of all, this is what we need to do this, all this stuff in a line. If you have a person like that in your life, please listen to them. They will occasionally tell you, no, that's good. Finish this thing first, and then the other three things can fall into line. And she's also very good at restraining the ideas that I have. The other thing, if there's somebody out there and you say, I've got this idea, I want to do this. There are two very important things for this particular person. If this person is the one who will say, are you crazy? You can't do that. Okay, first of all, don't invite them to another meeting. Don't have them involved in this because they have no idea of what can be done and no desire to do it. Second of all, when you do it, be sure to give them VIP access because that shit is just fun for revenge. I am saying this because she will find it funny. My ex-wife came to my first art show. And I spent a lot of time supporting her, emotionally, and that was where I put a lot of my energy for about 8 years. And she literally walked right up to me and looked around and said, this is amazing. Come here. I'll say it for you. You couldn't have done it with me. I'm like, yes. The little moments when somebody admits to that, that's great. And it's the idea that when we put the Samurai together, I initially got a message from Will Ross saying, I'm going to be in town. I want to do a show. Do you think you can arrange this? I don't know. Give me 20 minutes. I called the pizza shop. They said, yeah, sounds great. Let's do it. Then then it would be you, me, and Mikey. That's not a big set, or else all of us are going to bore the shit out of people. And then we said, yeah, let's call Jess. And then we got Travis. And then we got all these other people. And the Samurai Spoken Word are now about, say 10 active members right now and about 6 part-time and a couple that are out of town. But we made that thing happen, and you can do it too. Just desire to do it, find the right people to do it with, and the most amazing things can happen. Now that ends that part of the show. Wow, deafening silence. What's he going to do next? I don't know. Maybe he'll do the Roman story. No.
See, you're our guy that says no, Dave.
What's that?
Thank you for that.
Yep. I don't know. What will I do next? Oh, wait. Because some of you have heard the story of where I came from and how I kind of got this initial initiation into anger and the desire to do stuff. As a kid, I grew up between 2 towns, and I was reminded of this yesterday. I had the strangest run-in with somebody who was directing a film that I got kind of dragged into, and I ended up having a blast. I ended up being an extra at first, and then I kept writing lines, and he kept going, yeah, keep doing that. I'm like, okay, cool, this is going to be a lot of fun. Shelby ended up being prop mistress at the sets. It was kind of an entertaining afternoon. We got to talking, and he said, oh yeah, I'm from Wisconsin. I'm like, oh yeah, so am I. Where are you from? He's like, oh yeah, I'm from up in Green Bay. I'm like, I'm from Kenosha. He said, oh, I went to school in Kenosha. And we realized we went to the same university. We were part of the same kind of geek club. And that we knew, at least peripherally, some of the same people. The circles in Omaha just keep getting smaller for me at some point. I'm going to I will achieve personal fusion with some of these people at some point.
That's an Omaha thing.
Yeah.
That's a different kind of show, Dave.
Oh, of course. Wow, somebody has a birthday. Just love making her do that. But I grew up in between 2 towns. One is Kenosha, and the other one is Racine. For those, I have a kind of a passion for real, genuine, I hate to kind of use the real America term, but for people who are blue collar and really bust their ass. Kenosha, Wisconsin was a great place for that. It was the home of something that some of you might remember called American Motors. And I got to watch that fucker die. That was a lot of fun. And it was kind of a blue-collar community, and then Racine is also a blue-collar community. And between the two of them, there is a lot of expansive farmland with nothing in the middle, and that's where I lived. I had nothing to do. I was constantly bored, and as some of you may realize, a bored Dave is a danger to himself and to others, which is another reason why my schedule is so batshit insane. But one of the things that happened when we were talking about bullying, I was actually, the one thing I was hoping for that family to still be there was that little kid to say, hi, have you ever been bullied? Yeah. Here, I know your parents are going to disagree with me, but here's what you do the next time somebody picks on you, is mean or is nasty or something like that. You ball up your little fist and you punch that little fucker right in the face. That was like the best thing I ever learned as a kid. And the man who taught it to me was very important. I came home one day and I was like viciously bullied for like years. And I came home one day and my grandfather was visiting, coming down from Canada. My grandfather was his backstory is a movie unto itself. He was in something in the British Army known as the SAS. That's the Special Air Service. These are the sort of people who walk up to a Green Beret, smack them upside the head and say, what, problem? And the Green Beret will say, no. These cats are hard. And he saw me coming in. I had a black eye and a split lip, and I was like bleeding. And he looks at me and I do like one impression well, and it is someone none of you have met. This is my lot in life. And his voice was just amazing because it was a mixture of like East End London and Scotland and decades of smoking unfiltered cigarettes and shouting over automatic weapons fire and explosions, and it sounded something like this. Hey there, boy. That stuff you got on your face, does that happen a lot? Yeah, it does. It happens a lot, I bet. Well, we're gonna have to straighten that out now, aren't we? So what I thought was going to happen was my grandfather was going to walk down and straighten out some playground bullies. Here's what happened instead. At 11 years old, he took me up to where he worked, which was a lumber company. They would cut down trees, and then he would blow up the tree stumps because he was a hardcore demolitions guy. And hardcore in the sense of he loved loud noises, big flashes, and stuff flying in the air. That was like his favorite thing in the whole world. And what he would do was, he would prepare the charges, and I would be digging holes to put the charges into. And when you're 11 years old, when you're doing this, what you realize, you don't know you're working. All you know is that every day is the 4th of July, the Queen's Jubilee and Bastille Days rolled into one, and it is awesome. And so during the whole of the summer, I'm busting my ass, digging more holes, and we're blowing more shit up, and we're digging some more holes, and we're blowing shit up. And I lost about 30 pounds, because I have always been a big kid, and I was a fat kid back then, but goddamn, when I came back, I had lost 30 pounds and then put on another 20 pounds of muscle. And on a 6th grade body, that is not a bad thing. So, and in the meantime, he started giving me lessons on here's how you throw a punch, boy, and here's where you want to hit someone, and this is, and, when you land it right here, you can't just stop when you hit him. You gotta push all the way through that son of a bitch. And I was sitting there listening, going, okay. I was like Rocky, sitting there talking with the trainer, looking forward to the time when I was gonna walk over and just fucking lay out Apollo Creed. My Apollo Creed, though, was, a gentleman by the name of Bill Schrader. I use the term gentleman simply because of the fact that it would drive him mad then, and it would drive him mad now, and I kind of like that. He was not, none of that. Bill Schrader had failed the 6th grade twice. So not only was he dumb as a box of rocks, not only did he have the manners of your basic caveman, but he had also managed to stay in the 6th grade during one of the biggest growth spurts your typical adolescent male will have. So he was so much bigger than the rest of us, and he just loved to beat the shit out of me. And my emotions, not so much now, but my emotions back then were always close to the surface. It was really easy to make me cry, and that was like his favorite form of entertainment. So I come back after all of this, and I'm like, oh, yeah, all right. I'm like, yeah, I got muscle, and I can hit stuff. I've been like punching boards and stuff to get my fists ready. And I come onto the 6th grade playground, and I know that it's going to happen. And I see Bill, and he immediately sees me, and he sees his favorite chew toy. And what I see right now is an area around his face that I want to hit so bad that I'm like salivating at this particular moment. And Bill comes walking up with his typical comment or method of introduction, which was he would walk up and go, hey, fag, and like hit me in some place to see the dragon and cry. And I think he got about as far as, hey, fuck, which is when my fist shot forward. I caught him like about square across the nose, and I'm not one to advocate violence as the solution to most situations. I think that people will fight for the dumbest reasons, and I have seen the dumbest things happen. I used to work as a bodyguard, I used to work as a bouncer. You want to see a bunch of stupid fucking fights I've had to break up? I've got a laundry list. But in this case, it had to happen. And my fist shot forward. I hit Bill straight across the bridge of his nose. And with the exception of the first time I got laid, nothing had felt as good as the feeling his toes crunched under my fucking hand. And he like, bam, looks up and goes, what the hell? And that's when he goes to throw another punch. Well, I learned another little trick. If you happen to see the inside of your bicep, there is a nerve plexus right underneath here. If you punch that as hard as you can, it basically causes the nerves here to stop working for a little bit with a pinched nerve, and all of a sudden you can't move this arm. So he was bringing this big wide, and I cut him off right about here. And that's when I stepped in and I armbarred him, and I grabbed him, held him down, and just started wailing on his ribs. And so finally the teachers pull me off, they take me to the office. First day of school, I was suspended for 3 days, and it was worth it. And so that was like one of the first lessons I learned. The other important thing that he taught me in the midst of all of this was, first of all, you gotta learn to stand up for yourself, boy. The other important lesson that he taught me, and I took very seriously to heart, was, and if I find out you use this to become the schoolyard bully, I'm gonna beat your little ass. If he taught you, he knows more than you do. Yeah, I was kind of aware of that even back then. And so I would go up there during the summer and I would work for him, and then later on I started working because my grandfather worked at the lumber company, and my grandmother owned a bar, and she had basically inherited it from her late husband. And it was kind of an institution in this little town of Low Quebec. And so it was like one of two bars. You had like the Irish crowd that would go to my grandmother's bar, and you would have the French crowd that would go to the bar across the way. And every now and again for entertainment, some French people would come across over to my grandmother's bar, or some mix would go across over to the French bar, and they would have an impromptu hockey match. No, boxing, sorry. I'm confused. And that was kind of like the town's entertainment. Everybody would like patch themselves up, and then, a week later the shit would happen again. So at 14, I became the beer cooler, short order cook and bouncer of my grandmother's bar, which is another great way to learn survival techniques. Because all the people here work for a lumber company. I weighed about 160 pounds at that point in time, which meant that I weighed about half as much as the average patron who came walking into that place. And by 320 pounds, allow me to describe that it is a very, very solid 320 pounds. They walk up to a tree and they go, fall, and it goes, yes, sir. And so I got very, very good at surviving, having to confront other people. My favorite one to like get somebody to realize how incredibly drunk that they were was like the lumberjacks would reach a certain point and had been drinking for so long that they're not only having trouble staying on the chair, they're having trouble holding onto the fucking floor. And then they would like lean up and go, give me another one. No way, man. Boy, don't make me pull you over this bar and I will get my fucking drink. Okay, Sam, yeah. You see Donald? Yeah. I gotta tell you something that you did because you need to know about this. Yeah, what did I do? You hit on Donald's wife with Donald right next to him. I did? Yeah. Fuck, I gotta go home.
True or not?
True or not, fucking works. Saved me a lot of wear and tear. And so one day my grandfather had some friends over from the Army, and these are guys who are, as I said, former members of the SAS. They're sitting around telling what I think of as SAS stories. And SAS stories are kind of like what Richard Pryor used to describe mafia stories as being like. And it works like this. SAS stories are about people who died funny. And they know this because they killed them. Now, two of the people sitting in the SAS group, one is from Scotland, the other one is from Wales, and then the third guy is from Jamaica.
What?
Yeah. Now, Low Quebec is a wonderful place. I'm going to go back up there and visit next year to go say hello to the family and such. But you've got two ethnic groups there, the French and the Irish. It is not what you would call a bastion of ethnic diversity. So they don't see black people there very often. And they don't know how to express, how to speak to black people. And the gentleman from Jamaica was, oh, I don't know, a little darker than Monique. So he stands out like the proverbial sore thumb. Now, here's my thinking on this. I see three guys sitting around telling SAS stories. And I'm hearing them tell these stories. Now, if it is me now, I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to buy them a drink, and I'm going to leave them the fuck alone. No, at this point in time, the lumberjacks saw, hey, look, it's a black guy, and somebody dropped an N-bomb on their friend from Jamaica. This did not work out well. What happened was a fight between 9 lumberjacks and 3 former members of the SAS. And that's even more one-sided than it sounds. It was like within a minute, these guys had had their asses kicked to a man and thrown the hell out of the bar. And at that particular time, one of them says, yeah, you're laughing now, but this bar won't be standing in the morning. You're threatening the bar that is owned by that man's wife? Yeah, how's that working out for you? So they leave, and then I see my grandfather talking with his buddies, and they're like, and I know it's operational planning, so I'm doing my level best to be behind the bar so that way I don't have to be a witness. I learned very quickly. And they get up and they're heading out, and as they're heading out, I feel this arm grab at my shoulder, and it is grabbed in such a way that there is no arguing as to where I am going. My grandfather has just grabbed me, and I should point out, my grandfather is about 5'4" and about 180 pounds. He kind of looked like a barrel with legs and arms, and with very, very solid muscle. Yeah, you're going, okay. And so they go back to the trailer my grandfather lived in, and they proceed to break out the gun collection.
Oh dear.
If you've been in the Army for 36 years, you've had the opportunity to collect a few fine firearms. And I'm watching as he's breaking out the, shall we say, special part of the collection. And I'm seeing Uzi submachine guns. I'm seeing Russian sniper rifles. I'm seeing FNFAL assault rifles. And I'm seeing me spending 30 years in a Canadian prison just for being here. Yeah, so that's kind of workable. Yeah, the gangs there are more often than not the Hell's Angels, so they'll be pretty easy to work with. So anyway, they're sitting there and they're talking, they're working out their plan, and so my grandfather's sitting there and he's busting out shotgun rounds, and he's taking the buckshot out of the rounds, and then he's putting rock salt back into them. I'm like, okay, cool, that's a great idea. Maybe somebody won't get murdered tonight. That would be awesome. And then he hands me the shotgun. Sure, I'll hold that for you, no problem. What do you mean I'm going with you? No, I'm not. I'm 14. And he looks at me and says, boy, you're going along. And that's that sort of voice that when you hear it, that is the voice of God saying your shit's coming along. Or we can just plant you out back, whatever works for you. And so I hear them, they work up their plan, and it kind of worked like this. You had the back end of the bar and you had the parking lot of the bar. And the 2 of the guys were up in the trees in the back end of the bar, looking down into the parking lot. And we're at 90 degrees to that, set up this way with my grandfather and I. It is what they call in the Army the classic L-shaped ambush. The enemy starts off flanked and it doesn't get a whole lot better from there. And so we wait until dark and we sneak into our positions, and I'm sitting there and I have never prayed so hard for someone to not attend a fucking party. I am sitting there and I'm Catholic and Protestant, and I'm doing Hail Marys and Our Fathers and this and that, saying, please don't let them show up. I really don't want to shoot anyone. And so we're waiting, and finally the bar closes, and then about an hour later, and I see 2 pickup trucks pull in, and I'm like, fuck, this is really going to happen. I'm going to watch people get killed. I'm going to be shooting at somebody with a shotgun full of loaded rock salt. And the key part of this plan was that I was supposed to start off this little adventure. I was going to be the person to fire the first shot. So I'm watching as they're like pulling out cans of gasoline and road flares. They're going to burn this motherfucker down. And as they're coming closer, I've got this guy dead to rights. He's set right in my sights. And that's when I contracted a disease that hunters call buck fever. And buck fever is a paralysis of the trigger finger. You will sit there and try so hard to make your finger create 8 pounds of pressure to move that fucking trigger, and it will not happen until I'm sitting there and I can my finger's shaking and I hear this voice in my ear going, "So there, boy, you gonna sure get off the pot there." You know, as terrified as I was of shooting another human being, I suddenly realized how absolutely mortified I was at the idea of what would happen to me if this bar burned down because I wouldn't fire a round. I had a feeling that I would be basically thrown into the pit along with the rest of it, which is when I turned a semi-automatic 6-round shotgun into a Claymore mine. Fired about 6 rounds in I think about half a second. I had a bruise that lasted for about a month afterward. Roll over, start putting rounds back in, charge the gun again, turn around, and they are gone. In the meantime, all hell is broken loose. I'm hearing automatic weapons fire, I'm hearing this, I'm hearing that, and I'm rolling over and I turn around and the trucks are gone, there's a radiator in the ground. The most accurate firing you could possibly imagine. They were firing all around these guys, managed to put rounds within inches of them. The only person that hit anybody was me with the rocks off. And so, you pack up all your stuff, you go back, and the next day you hear about some guys who got admitted to the hospital, and it's all kind of no blood, no foul in that particular way. They learned the error of their ways in a most dramatic fashion. But it has always taught me that you find the right people. You find the right people for the situation, and you find the desire to do the thing that needs to be done. And I'm still working on it. I'm 43 years old. I'm going to be 44 in a couple of weeks. And you're all invited September 15th. We're going to be having a party here. And then after that, we're probably going to go over to Beercade. And then from there, after they throw us out, we'll be going to Jake's. And after that, fuck knows where we're going. There we go. And the rubber dick store, of course.
Rubber's what?
Rubber, yeah, that's it. And so you're all invited to come down. And in the process, we're going to be doing a mini samurai set. There will be 4 or 5 people are going to do sets and such. I'm really hoping my name won't be involved in any of them.
Right.
I'm fucked. So fucked. How did I agree with that again? Anyway.
You started it.
I started with a party, and then Andrew, that bastard, said, "Are you guys going to do a show that night?" What was that?
The only way for you to get away with this would be for you to have a birthday party with people who don't know.
Yeah, there is that, true.
And what fun would that be?
Yep.
Really?
But, you can make as many jokes after I say this as you want, but one of the things I'd really like to see the group do as we're all hanging out is talk about your projects, talk about your ideas, but please talk about your passions. We talk about our nerdy things, we talk about our geeky things, we talk about our real things, but goddammit, we're talking about it, and that might mean energy, and that might mean action, and I really, really hope that we get some really good stuff happening on September 15th. Thank you very much. Good night.